Hi guys, Dragoneither here today doing a Kozmo deck profile. The last one I was going to do I didn't put up, and that was a while ago too. Look, this is actually a really interesting build. I went to a regionals over the weekend. I went 4-2. I lost my round 1 against the Mirror because I had 3 hours sleep and I bricked. Mainly because I bricked in game 1. And game 2 I was like, yeah, I'll probably survive, and then he flipped out the E-Tally and I was like, that was bad. And the other loss I also had was again to Mirror. That was a little bit less of a misplay and more of a, I got a bad dice roll. He went first, he won the dice roll, so he got to go first, so I was like, well, that already isn't that great for me, going second in the Mirror. And yeah, I'll explain the regional stuff later. But in short, I lost because of the dice rolls in that one. Otherwise, I was pretty happy with how I went. So we'll start off, and again, with all my deck profiles, I'll probably quick link down below my list, and I like to actually explain my choices. So we'll start off with obvious ones of triple Dark Destroyer, triple Tin Can. Every build should be running that right now. Every build. Because of the build type that this is a special build type. I run Strawman at 3. Don't go quitting the video because you think this is weird. Follow through with all the stuff that I have in here. This build actually works really well, and similar builds also work really well. And there's some really unique plays you can make with Strawman, which I'll go over a bit later, which just have me to enjoy this build so much. I also play 2 Sword Troopers, not 3, and 1 Farm Girl to cut off my 3s. Honestly, I don't really need 3 Sword Troopers in this. I like having 2, just because I can search 1 with Tin Can, and then add 1 back, or send 1 to the grave. Or, you know, if it comes to the point in time where I can set it up, it's good. Or if I have a Strawman in grave and I want to use this to bring a Strawman back from grave, that also is not bad of a thing I can do. Anyway, yeah, in short, I don't need triple Sword Troopers to do everything I want to do in this deck. I rely more on Strawman to get me a win than Sword Troopers. But yeah. And here's where it gets a little bit more interesting. I run double Slip Rider, and God, don't hate me for this. And there's good reasons. I'll show you so many things that this can do. Double Delta Shuttle. Yeah, I'll get into that in a bit. But that's actually really relevant. And to cut off the last bit of the monster lineup, triple Courier Bandit. This is actually ridiculously good in this build because you want to stack up your stuff in the grave. But you also want to keep hand advantage. Courier Bandit does both. It mills 5, and if you get a spell or trap, you can have that back in your hand. Taking a note, there's a couple of spells and traps I'll name later that are really good to be milled off this because they set you up really well. The last card, and probably one of the best cards in Kozmo, which you should be running if you run a similar build, you can also banish him as dark, is BLS. Don't underestimate BLS. Again, I say a million times, BLS sometimes isn't the best because of its 3000 attack. You can attack twice if it destroys monster by battle, or its effective banish instead. Rather, the way that it's brought out is extremely relevant in this deck, and I'll go into that after I've gone through everything else. Next up, traps. I'm going to do traps first this time. I run Triple Call the Haunted. Hey, Noble Knight shout out, because they're platinum rares, you know. It's probably the only platinum rare I like. Double Oasis. I didn't see that once, or rather, I did see it once, but it got Twin Twisted when I had no monsters. Double Strike, add Warning, and that's it for the trap lineup. And this is where it starts to get a little bit more interesting. We'll start off with triple E-Tally. obviously, and a 1-for-1, because you should be running that because it gets you the Strawman turn 1, and that's really what you want to do. Because of how this build works, you should obviously know by now that I'm running triple telekinetic power well, because it brings back Strawmans and tin cans and is extremely good. I'd also like to add that E-Telly and Powerwell work really well with Curry Bandit. If you mill one of these of Curry Bandit or both, you can pick one of them out of the back of your hand. This is in end phase. You can activate these in end phase. So you Curry Bandit, you mill a maybe two tin can and a Strawman and a Powerwell. You quick play the Powerwell, bring out both the tin cans and the Strawman, and then you can activate both the tin can effects to search. Pretty relevant. Or you get this, and then you can, yeah, lots of different things you can do. Alternatively, you can normal summon this, get to the end phase, where it's a bit safer, then activate this, bring out the tin can, do your tin can search, and once you've done all your searching, then tribute this and mill 5, so that you've got a better chance of getting somewhere. Double Dark Hole, because the effect to destroy your own monsters is pretty relevant in this. And it's come up plenty of times that I've destroyed my own monsters and been able to do something ridiculous after. There was one game where I destroyed 2 Dark Destroyers from Dark Hole. Pardon me. So I could bring out an Infinity, because my opponent was top decking. So yeah, that was kind of good. I run 1 Twin Twister in main. It was 2, but I subbed that out for this next card, which is 1 Soul Charge. That's probably more so there because I don't have special schedules. But honestly, it didn't do the best. It didn't do what I wanted it to do half the time when I did get it. So it's a really kind of card. I mean, you already pay too much life anyway. So, yeah, I think I might cut that. But it's a little bit more thinking involved than just like, yeah, I'll cut it. At the moment I run 20 monsters and 20 spells and traps, so you should be asking, what's missing? That's 39. Well, one card that is missing is something I'm only playing 1 of right now. Kozmo is at 1 in this deck. Now before you go hating me, I want to tell you something about this card. This card is incredibly slow. It is incredibly good, but incredibly slow. It lets you shuffle your hand back if you have a brick hand, but in this build you generally won't get as much of a brick hand. In fact, most of the times that I got this in my opening hand, that was the brick hand, or that was the card causing it to brick. And I just couldn't do anything off that, and yeah, not cool, not cool. I don't know what else to say. It doesn't do what you want it to do in this build. Look, it's really good if you're going for a drawn out game, but most of the times your turns will only be like 2 or 3 turns and you'll finish. So drawing into more Kozmo Towns is not beneficial to you. In fact, the only time this is good is like I've attacked with a farm girl and I need to add a Dark Destroyer back so I don't lose in the next turn. Or I need to stall out for a little bit. Or if I have Twin Twister and I can destroy that and search something else off of it, well, my opponent doesn't expect that. But yeah, it really is a bit lackluster in this build now, and again, it's really slow. If you come up against Monarchs and you have this, like, they're not even going to bother with this half the time. And it's just one less card that you have to actually stop them. Don't get me wrong, it is a fantastic card, but in this build, you don't really need it. And it works perfectly fine at 1. And again, every single time I got it, that hand was a brick if I started with it. These two are kind of cards that you want to draw into, as opposed to start with. But yeah, all right. Extra deck. Ooh, that's not extra. And this is really interesting. My extra deck. For 1 Ghost Rick Dullahan. So relevant. Okay, so This card's effect is that you target your opponent's monster, or is it opponent's monster or any monster? And it's a quick effect as well, so that's also good. One face at monster field, any monster. Quick effect, target any monster on the field, reduces attack by half. So it's actually relevant against the monarchs because the big monarchs you can reduce their attack down to 1400, which means Farm Girl is bigger than it, which means you can actually get your search off Farm Girl if they have a big monarch out. Because most of the time they'll just bring out Prime when it attacks. So that's pretty fun. And there's also another card that goes with this. Okay, one of the MVPs is this next card. If you're running this build, you must be running this card. It is absolutely insane. Sky Cavalry Centauri, or Centauria. This card overperforms like hell. Really overperformed like hell, because if you bring out 2 Strawmen, yeah? And that's really easy to do. 2 Strawmen can bring out 2 Dark Destroyers, or a Slip Rider and a Delta Shuttle, or 2 Slip Riders, 2 Delta Shuttle, whatever. That makes Infinity, or Volcasaurus, Gaia Charger, whatever, even Infinity into Gaia Charger. And to clear up your field, the 2 Strawmen can make the Sky Cav. The best thing about this is, let's read out the effect for you. This card cannot be destroyed by battle while it has an XYZ material. At the end of the damage step, if this card battled an opponent's monster, you can detach 1 XYZ material from this card, return the opponent's monster from field to hand. So, it can't be destroyed by battle if it rams into a Dark Destroyer, but it can return the Dark Destroyer to hand. Considering that when you'll make this, most of the time you'll probably have an Infinity go with it. Just imagine their field is a common field, Slip Rider, and Dark Destroyer. Perhaps Slip Rider's in defense. Okay, cool. So you attack into the Dark Destroyer with this, bounce it to hand, and then your Infinity attacks into Slip Rider, and when Slip Rider activates its effect, you negate it. Boom, they have no field. And that happens a lot. So yeah, it really is good. A number 20 Gigabrilliant. Again, it's pretty bloody good to have in this. A newcomer, Super Quantum Mech Beast Grand Pulse. 2/8 defense, really relevant in some matchups. And it can pop any spell trap. A little bit better than Alucard, which is a set card. Alucard can pop monsters, but has to be set. This can just pop any spell trap, so it's a little bit more relevant. 2 Levier, because I can still make 2 on rare occasions with Soul Trooper. And this one, Ghost Trick Angel of Mischief. This was interesting, this actually came up a couple of times. Did you know you can basically rank up Dullahan into Mischief anytime in your main phases? So you can activate this effect, which is a quick effect. After it resolves, rank up into Mischief. You now have a 2k attack and 2/5 defense monster from 2 tin cans. Pretty good, seeing as you've just gone and targeted and reduced your opponent's monster's attack by half. Yet not a Dark Destroyer. Not so relevant in the mirror match, but you know, when you're against Cods, maybe when you're against like Ignistar or oh, that'd be funny. 25 damage. Ignistar or Monarchs, that can get pretty helpful. And last of all, this is 1 downed. Okay, here's an interesting thing. If you bring these like 2 tin cans, 2 Strawmen out from Powerwell, you've now made an F-Zero in your main phase too. Because Dullahan goes into Mischief, Skycav goes into Downed, and these 2 together go into Utopic Future. That's funny as shit. That wasn't relevant, but it can be. 1 Nova, Infinity, obviously, Volk, and Gaia Charger, because again, running 5s, you should be running that. Last but not least, for the extra deck is 1 Starlight and 1 Trish, because I do actually side the Ghost Ogres still, and they are relevant in some cases. Alright, give me a sec. Seriously, Sky Cav is ridiculously good. Sideboard, 1 Twin Twister, 2 System Downs, 2 Ghost Ogres, 2 Max C, 2 Time Space, and for Monarchs, triple Stormforth, triple Fog King. My thinking of this is that when you're against Monarchs, they're going to side in Twin Twister if they're smart, because that's the best thing to stop Kozmo. Just get rid of their back row, stop them from doing anything before they get anywhere. So what's the best thing to out that? I found that if they haven't already brought out an Ether, Fog King is pretty relevant. If you can Fog King them, what are they going to do to actually stop it? It's not likely they have a Dark Hole, they can't tribute over it. And unlike Master Restrict, they can't Twin Twister this, which is probably going to be their most likely out against you, as they're not going to be running Dark Holes. They'd more likely side in System Down against Kozmo and Twin Twister. So yeah, Fog King is probably one of the best things to side in if you're running Kozmos. But yeah, I didn't actually get to a point where the Fog King came out, but having it there made me feel a lot more safe. Okay, so let's go back into this, because I'm sure a lot of you are going to be asking, dude, why the fuck are you running these cards? Alright. And Powerwell. So if you don't know what Powerwell does, basically, at resolution, it lets you special summon as many level 2 or lower psychic monsters from your grave, and you lose 300 life for each level of the monster special summoned out. Okay. So let's put it to you this way. You've gone and tin canned. Say you started with these in hand, and that. And you've gone and tin canned once. Actually, let's not even worry about how many times you tin canned or whatever. Let's say you just managed to get to a point where you had the Dark Destroyer in hand. That's banished. You've got the Powerwell. Managed to top deck this. You got a Delta Shuttle and a Slip Rider in grave. And maybe you have like Strawman in grave, and this gets killed. And then maybe you have to banish this out for something else. That's not relevant. Maybe that gets killed as well. So you now have nothing in the field. But you have 2 Strawmans in grave, and you have these. Here's where this comes in relevant. So BLS can bring himself out by banishing a Delta Shuttle and Slip Rider. You see anything yet? Notice that Delta Shuttle is a dark and Slip Rider is a light. That's 2 5s. That sounds like play school. Cool. Then you play Powerwell. Bring out your 2 Strawman. First Strawman, target Slip Rider. Second Strawman, target Delta Shuttle. Delta Shuttle's effect, targeting itself. Send Dark Destroyer to grave. Or anything else. Note that you can still activate these effects, but they're just negated. Best thing about Delta Shuttle is it sends its cost. So if I also happen to have like a Call the Haunted set, if I didn't have 5 monsters, I could send its cost and then chain Call the Haunted immediately. In fact, I won one of my games because I used Delta Shuttle's effect to send Dark Destroyer, targeting my opponent's monster. And then next turn when they went to make a play, I was like, Call the Haunted Dark Destroyer. And then they couldn't do anything. I was like, yeah. So that was pretty lucky. Anyway, so continuing on from this, you then have Strawman to go into Skycav. And as soon as you have a light and a dark, and you got that set up later, and they're both 5s, you can go into Cyber, into Infinity, or even Volcasaurus and Guy Charger if you need. And that happens a lot. That's with a 2 card hand. The biggest thing I'd like to point out with the BLS is the fact that banishing light and dark gives your strawman access to it, because whilst it's in your grave, it's doing nothing. Strawman can only bring back stuff that was banished. So if you did that, you bring back like 1, and then this is useless to bring back. There's no point bringing back like your small guys, unless you're strawman to bring back a strawman to get that destroyed to set up a power well or go into a sky cave. But yeah, the point of BLS is that it does banish the light and dark, and it has synergy with these two because they're both 5s, and you have a light and a dark. And Delta Shuttle does have a little bit of synergy. I mean, you can even send Strawman targeting itself, like in first turn, power well, and then like, I don't know, set up power well, and maybe Dark Hole, this, you know, lots of things you can do. I mean, I guess even in first turn, if you Strawman banish, bring out Delta Shuttle, play Dark Hole. Let's go back to like me having nothing here. So, you normal from the Strawman. So you have a power well in hand. You banish for Delta Shuttle. You target itself. Send that. Dark Hole. That gets banished. You special summon, I don't know, Strawman from deck. Strawman's effect, special summon Delta Shuttle, Delta Shuttle's effect. Send your other tin can. End phase. That gets destroyed. You special summon out. Not bad. Another tin can. Activate effect. I don't know. Doesn't really matter. Pick Dark Destroyer, Slip Rider, and Strawman. I don't really care. No, the Strawman's already there. Never mind. Oh no, sorry. Wait. 1, 2. There it is. And maybe get a Slip Rider. Boom. You can now power well. Have a field of 5 in your end phase, and have that in hand, and then tin can 2 more times. Pretty good off a 2 or 3 card combo, which would otherwise do nothing. But yeah, just a little bit of synergy that the deck has, which makes it a little bit fun. Yeah. Anyway, I hope you've liked that more or less. Don't forget to like if you like the video, and comment down below what you think of this build. It's quite interesting in my opinion, and I'll see you guys later.